Well, Attorney General Eric Holder is still not ruling out New York City as a possible location for the 9/11 terror trials, an assertion that has incensed lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, including the top Republican on the House Homeland Security Committee, Congressman Peter King of New York, who joins us now live. Congressman, thank you for your time today.
Shannon, good to be with you.
Now, I understand one of your initial reactions was that this is absolute insanity. Tell us why.
It really is. I thought from day one it was absolutely irresponsible to pick New York. The Attorney General did it without talking to the police commissioner, without talking to any of the federal law enforcement people, without speaking to the mayor, the governor, anyone. But then he's compounded it now by continuing to insist that New York is still on the table, as he put it, even though the White House has been leaking out now for 2.5 months that they don't want it in New York. So what I see here happening is Eric Holder is digging in. He is a liberal ideologue. He wants this trial in New York. And it's time for the president to say that he's the president, that the president decides this, not the attorney general. It makes us look foolish to have the Justice Department saying one thing, the president another, to have all this disarray in the White House. It's time for the president to do the right thing, take the trial out of New York, and put it into a military tribunal.
And Congressman, you know, the Attorney General has said that we actually make ourselves less safe and less secure by not routing these trials into civilian courts and instead saying we may shuffle them off to military tribunals instead. What's wrong with that statement, true or false?
I think it's totally false. First of all, we did have trials throughout the 1990s for those who were guilty of the first World Trade Center attacks. It certainly didn't make us any safer. Secondly, my concern is that at a trial such as this, you can have intelligence information come out. It can be very difficult in some cases to convict because the evidence we have would not be admissible in a civilian court. For instance, intelligence information, hearsay evidence, all of that can be used in a military tribunal. And in addition to that, I don't believe we have to give full constitutional rights to enemy combatants, to terrorists. And the Supreme Court has said that military tribunals are appropriate and they are constitutional.
Well, the Attorney General also has laid out a number of faults and failures he sees with the military commissions about why they're not the best route and the failings that, in his words, that they have. If that is so, do you think there is anything that Congress would do, that branch of government, to step in to shore up the commissions or make any changes, or do you think they're effective in their current form?
No, this has gone through the Congress. President Obama voted for them when he was in the Senate. They've been upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. They are valid. And Eric Holder just has this liberal inclination he can't control that he wants it in a civilian court. Shannon, this would turn Lower Manhattan into an armed camp. Basically, it would be under martial law for the next several years for no reason. There's no need to do it other than Eric Holder has this fantasy of wanting these trials to be held. No, the tribunals are effective. They would work. And now one of the reasons why there's been such a delay in getting these trials is because Eric Holder's law firm was representing a lot of these detainees when he was with the firm of Covington and Burling, and they were doing pro bono work for these defendants, and that delayed the whole process. But that's all behind us. The Supreme Court has upheld these tribunals. This is the route to go, and it's time for the president. Listen, we know the president, at least we've been told by people close to the president, certainly Rahm Emanuel has been quoted in the papers, saying the president wants the trial out of New York. He's the president. It's time to show leadership, step in, and tell Eric Holder what has to be done.
Congressman Peter King of New York. Sir, we thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Shannon, as always. Thank you.
Well, volcanic ash from Iceland has crippled